turns out I'm fucking super connector. I'm really good at it, right? Like, there's value.
Hey, trying to steal the name to my podcast? Relax. Keep it.
I was
fight
told
you, bro.
that.
Let me try to get my last cough out before I...
Yeah, don't worry about that. That was just Josh snorting a line of cocaine before we get started here.
Hey everyone, I want to interject real quick here. I have 2 disclaimers for this episode before it starts. Number 1, if you're watching this podcast, you might be looking at this video right now and think, oh my gosh, it looks like you're on a spaceship. Why is the video quality so much better than in the actual podcast? Well, I got a way better camera since I recorded this, so future episodes are going to look a lot nicer. So that's number 1. Number 2, this episode gets a little bit raunchy with the language. I do want to give you a little bit of a heads up on that. I decided not to bleep a bunch of F-bombs and other words out of this because we're both military vets, Adam and I. We're 2 friends having I think a really interesting conversation. I think can be very helpful for a lot of people. And so I thought making it overly censored probably just wouldn't lend service to the point of this episode. So you're warned. If you're under the age of 5 years old, you probably shouldn't watch this. But I think it was a great conversation. I think you'll love it. So back to the podcast. Thanks.
Those glasses crack me the fuck up, dude.
All right.
Is everything orange for you right now?
Dude, I'm ready to play It is. I'm so ready to play Battlefield right now.
Oh.
I feel like that's the intro right there. We got the intro in the intro. I usually don't do that ever, but it works. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Connector podcast, where I sit down with my coolest friends, sometimes not so cool, but listen, this guy's the coolest.
It sounds so bad.
He's also American, so I thought I'd throw that in. This guy wears more hats than I own, and I'm currently wearing one of them. He is a U.S. Army veteran with 13 years of service, founder of the Strategic Veteran podcast and platform, which we'll get into, fractional chief AI officer at Praxis Intelligence, say that 5 times fast, and also a partner at the 𝗖𝗄 retreat in the Peruvian Amazon. We definitely need to get into that, helping veterans and first responders heal through 𝗄𝗶𝘁𝗵 traditions. And fun fact, he's a commercial pilot. My friend, Adam Peters. Yay! Welcome, Adam. I'll put the coolest audience clapping sound effects.
Look, here's the thing.
Fine.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
I love it, man. Dude, so glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. This is going to be a really good time.
Of course. And if everyone watching can tell, obviously, this is legit kit. This is gear that, I play Call of Duty wearing. So I'm definitely in the trenches wearing my gear. This is, hold on. And I have an F-bomb right here. Check that out. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Back when I used to play, I do, funny enough, maybe I shouldn't show this. I don't know. I do have like legit magazines right now.
Okay. One more time I'm interjecting because I need to tell you about today's sponsor, me and my school community, the Connector Fight Club. This is an extension of the podcast where these awesome, fun, expert guests that I bring on, I'm also getting them to teach exclusive lessons in my school community for budding entrepreneurs, people who want more out of life, who are on that growth journey from sales to communication to building your offer to networking to so many things, AI, lots of topics we're getting into in the classroom section, but also in the community discussion area. We're building relationships, doing giveaways, raffles, all sorts of fun stuff. This is not scripted. Most of what I do is not scripted. I like to be off the cuff. And so if you want to participate in deeper conversations around these kind of topics, you want to be in a community of awesome people that are growing together, and you want more access to me directly as well, go in, link in the bio, first link below, and go. Is my arm jiggling? What's happening? No, hold on. I need better lighting, but okay. Anyways, link in the bio. Go join school.
No way. I have the same. What's the ticket on the other ticket patch you've got there? What does it say?
Live free or die hard, I think.
I have one on a hat somewhere. I just don't know where it's at. I have the same exact one that you have. Morale patches are the shit, man.
This is when I used to play a lot of airsoft. So everybody listening, I was in the military very briefly. I just didn't do jack. Adam actually, served and did some awesome stuff, went overseas.
Whatever, dude. Come on. You served. That's enough. Like, we don't need to measure dicks here on who did what better.
Well, I've seen it, and yours is longer. No, I'm just joking. Joking. But it's a great start already, right?
It's great, dude.
That being said, cheers. I know we're both
cheers, brother.
Rocking a monster.
At 6 o'clock at night.
I purposely chose the Call of Duty. If anybody wants to scan that, just
go get you
kidding.
Some free shit on Xbox.
Just kidding. I already scanned it and I already downloaded the skin, so it sucks to be you. But,
you snooze, you lose, fuckers.
But anyways. But yeah, man. If we want to take the first few minutes and just share some of your story, as much or as little as you want to get into. Also, I think you're a little bit blurry right now. I don't know if you want to try to reset the there you go. Oh, there you go. Now you're in frame.
It's because I toasted you. You wanted to hit the monster cans.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
We're in digital. We're in digital land here, and neither of us has hit the point where we can invest in like high quality equipment. So we're kind of working with what we got,
I was gonna say, yeah, we're both rocking webcams, and we'll get there, man. We'll soon. We're gonna have the most badass like in-person studio with thousands of dollars of awesome lights, and
yeah, I mean, I think. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Or we can just meet somewhere in the middle, rent out the same studio, and we'll just change the lighting for your podcast or my podcast.
Even better, dude. Then we save money, which is something I'm all about, right? Like,
there you go. Yeah. I don't care how rich we are. I was at I had an Amex for a little bit that let me get into like first class lounges at the airport, and now I wasn't flying first class. I could just get into lounges, and so. The free food, free drink, free everything, but there's always like free apples on the way out, and nobody touches them, right? Everyone's wealthy in there, everyone's whatever, and I'm like, hello. So I literally take my bag, I open it up,
did you fill it with the apples?
Juice boxes, sandwiches, and containers.
Yes,
cans of Coke and Sprite, apples. So then by the time I get to my hotel room after the flight, I literally unload my bag and I got all my snacks from the lounge.
Yes, dude, I love it, man. I mean, I'll never scoff at free shit, dude, ever. Like, take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's there for a reason, so. Whatever.
Right. And clearly nobody else is using it. So I'm not preventing anyone else. Plus, they're just going to go fill it with more as soon as you leave.
Exactly. So
it's like a never ending supply of snacks that shows up in those little lounges. I always feel weird walking in there too. Do you feel weird walking in there? Like, hey, I don't belong in here. And I know I
did
don't
the first
belong
couple times. And then I remember the first time actually I wore a gym shirt that was really comfy because, I'm flying. And I was like, okay, maybe I look more athletic than some of these people with my dress. Some of them are dressed in suits or whatever. But then the problem was I didn't realize I wore the wrong color that shows all your sweat. And I don't know why, but I was like nervous. And my back was just like the circle of just wetness on my back. So now I'm already underdressed. I've got a circle of sweat. And it was... And that made me more anxious, So now I'm trying to get some free food in line, and I'm like sweaty gym clothes. I'm like, ooh.
I also don't understand who flies in a fucking suit, dude. Seriously? Like,
people in the 60s while they smoke cigarettes on the plane. Don't you see? Yeah, see? Come on, plane.
The seats
see?
were better then, though. Like, you had room, and like maybe you could. I just don't get it, dude. I'm like a sweatpants and like oversized t-shirt guy when I'm on a plane. I want comfort because I'm big and I don't have money to fly in the extra space seats yet. So
right.
My knees are already in the back of the seat, and then we get to cruise altitude and the fucker in front of me has to lean his seat back. Right. And there's a kid behind me that's constantly kicking my seat. So it's just a miserable experience for me in general. So I just want to be as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
I'm also the guy that people hate. I take my shoes off on an airplane.
Uh-oh. You're just picking toe jam and flinging it at people?
No. I leave my socks on, but like, who wants shoes on while you're on a 5-hour flight across the country?
I mean, hey, if you got clean socks, go. You do you. I do the same. That's
Bombas, fine. Bro. Bomba always clean. Bombas, best socks on the planet.
# code Adam for 10% off your first Bombas purchase.
Hey, Bombas, if you're listening, please sponsor me. That would be the shit. I'll rep your stuff everywhere. Like, I'll be honest, dude. When I was introduced to Bombas, I was like, no way in hell I'm paying that kind of money for a pair of socks. Boy, was I wrong, because I spent It's like $120 on 12 pairs of socks. So you do the math, it's like $10 a pair, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then I found out they have like this incredible warranty. You get a hole in the socks, you just send them a message online saying, hey, I got a hole in my socks. I thought they were going to replace one pair. No, they sent me 12 brand new pairs.
Oh my God.
I was like,
Wow.
sold, right? So essentially I got 24 pairs of socks for $120.
Wow.
And I haven't bought socks in almost 3 years.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing,
cool.
right? Is like you buy, like I'm the same with, what am I? I got these guys. This brand 𝗖𝗶𝘁𝗵. I'll link. I don't think I have a code, but if I do, I'll link it.
Right.
They're Canadian. They're like, again, same thing, right? It's some of their socks. I think these ones are like $18 for the pair if you buy full price. They just had a Black Friday sale, so I bought a few things. But like, I mean, that's all I buy. I buy socks once every couple of years, and they're like solid. And I got some ankle ones. I got the merino wool. I got a couple. So it's like, I like quality stuff.
Who knew that investing some kind of money into something a little bit higher quality would be better than going to Walmart and every 3 months having to replace them all because your toes are poking out of them? I thought that was normal. I thought that's just what people did.
Who would have thunk it, Adam? Who would have
don't
thunk
know.
it?
I don't know.
But,
man. I guess you want me to tell people who I am, huh?
I figure we get there eventually.
Come on, man.
I think that was your first question.
Probably.
Yeah, man, to answer your question, my name is Adam Peters. I am the founder of the Strategic Veteran. I joined the Army right out of actually a year before I graduated high school. Spent a year on delayed entry. Knew I wanted out of small town Indiana, wanted to see the world. That didn't happen. Spent 13 years as an infantryman, did 4 deployments, 3 to Iraq, 1 to Afghanistan. I think it's somewhere around like 48 or 50 months of combat time. Came home after Afghanistan, had some serious health issues, a bunch of surgeries. Basically, they're like, hey, you can't do your job anymore. We're going to kick you out. And then that's when the real struggle started. I did a lot of things when I got out, followed their kind of plan for what you're supposed to do when you get out to a T, which is go to college, use your GI Bill. So I've got, fun fact, right? I'm a commercial pilot. That's the first thing I did was go to flight school. Thought I wanted to, was achieving my dream of being a pilot. Actually achieved that dream. I am a pilot. Didn't realize I didn't want to work in aviation. It's very, I don't even know how to say the word, but there's a lot of nepotism involved. Everything is done on seniority basis, right? You get a seniority number and that's how you get paid, and you climb the ladder, get routes, all of that stuff. Being an older guy, at 30, by the time I'd have got to the airlines at 35, there's no way I would have ever climbed to the top of the pay scale. You're going to school with 16, 17-year-olds because their parents were pilots, right? So it's all they know. They know it's a lucrative career. They've studied their whole lives for it. Most of them have been flying since before they could touch the rudder pedals. They have the knowledge. So, they're walking in at 21, getting to the airlines at 21. They have 44 years in aviation to climb that ladder, get a seniority number, make, I don't know, I think the top Delta captain right now makes pretty close to $300,000 a year. I knew I was never going to get there. So when got my bachelor's degree, trying to make myself more competitive, realized like this shit isn't for me. Corporate America is not for me. I did everything from retail vape shop sales while I was in college to manage the gun store, which is how I found out I'm really good at business, to the insurance industry. I've done everything in the insurance industry. So was studying for Series 6, 63, and Series 7 at one point. I've sold property and casualty insurance, life and health, health only, Medicare, Medicaid. I've done all of it and kind of really woke up to like, I'm not built for this world. I need to go do something that kind of aligns with me. At the time, I was losing a lot of buddies to suicide. I got sick and tired of notifications on my phone, 4 and 5 a month, culminating in putting my fist through a wall for the first time in 20 years. And I just knew I had to do something. I got sick of seeing in the veteran Facebook groups, everybody saying, oh, we got to do something about this. We got to do something about this, but nobody gets off their ass. So I started the podcast. And as you know, because you have a podcast, the podcast becomes an opportunity machine. And here we are having a conversation on your show, man.
Yes, sir.
That's really kind of the story. That's how it goes. I mean, there's a lot of shit in between, which we can go into, but seriously, having the podcast and building the brand has been not only the most fulfilling and rewarding thing I've ever done, but some of the most fun I've ever had. And it truly does create just unparalleled opportunity I would have never thought that I would have ever got in my life.
Yeah, I love that, man. And you know, so few people in this world are the kind of person that, like you said, you're in the Facebook groups. Oh yeah, let's make a change, or let me post whatever. What did they post a while back? Black Lives Matter, a black square on Instagram, or they post a Palestine flag, or hashtag free. Like, everyone is so quick to jump on the bandwagon for whatever the thing is. I'm not trying to make any stances right now. I'm just saying people jump on the bandwagon, but
Yeah.
how few truly make decisions to make changes for whatever that issue may be. So I want to dive in a little bit more into detail. I'd love to know more about how the Strategic Veteran brand as a podcast has now turned into a platform and allowed you to be able to actually help guys, like really help people coming out, and even transition out of, like, because now you're an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
how do you help people transition from military into careers, into their own businesses, stuff like that?
I get asked this so much, man. So I started the Strategic Veteran. I read a military.com article saying after World War II, 78% or something like that of small business in America were owned by veterans. And then after Vietnam, that fell to 30 something percent. And for post 9/11 guys like me, it's like it was 3.2% in 2020 or 2021. I'll be honest, I've looked for the article again. I have some trouble finding it. I've come across it a couple of times. I know it's out there. You can probably find it. But that kind of gave me this idea, like, I was looking around at kind of the veteran landscape, all the issues that we have. I was in a really bad place myself, and kind of started looking around, and like the vets I saw that were kind of happy and were not struggling as much were all these guys that had started their own thing. Sean Ryan with his podcast, and then all his guests that come on, and how they're, got tactical training companies, or they've got bottle opener companies, or, you name it, they've got a company. And I heard him, kind of have some issues in the beginning of his podcast where he's bringing dudes on, and they would go on to have massive success with their entrepreneurial ventures, and he was struggling trying to get his legs. And I started thinking about this, like, okay, there's something here. This is clearly an education issue, right? Like, if we went from 78 to 3%, like that's clearly a gap. There's some kind of education here, and there really is something to this, because when you are an entrepreneur, as you know, you have this like never ending mission. So it's like never ending purpose. It's your baby. It's something that, at least for me, I'm just constantly thinking about it. My mind is always business, business, business. Like, how can I grow? What do I need to do next? What are the next tasks? What are the next things that I need to do to move things along? And it doesn't give you a lot of time to wallow in kind of all the issues that plague us, the identity loss, the purpose loss, the loss of community. And so I started the podcast because I didn't have a direction. My journey actually started on LinkedIn on November 5th of 2023. Shortly after I'd come home from Peru. One of my best friends on the planet is a SDR. His name's Theodore McIntosh. I don't know what he's doing these days. He's very much a nomad, kind of fly by the seat of his pants to just go wherever the wind blows him. But he came to my house and stayed with me for 3 months, kind of as a stop along the way. And he is like, hey, man, you should think about getting on LinkedIn because it's a really powerful platform. I've landed some really incredible jobs as an SDR, kind of 1099 through LinkedIn as I built a following. I challenge you to post every day, just whatever speaks to you, or just find something, and then find 5 people's content who speaks to you and start engaging that content. And so I did. I started doing that, and then naturally, what would happen? I think I started posting about personal branding before I even knew what building a personal brand means. Go figure, right? Like, it was a hot topic 2 years ago on LinkedIn. You probably remember, especially because you're in the brand space, right? Then I switched to UI UX design because I was like, oh, I could figure out how to design websites. That's kind of cool. I started playing with Figma, and I was like, yeah, fuck this. I'm not doing that. Like, that's absolutely not for me. SEO, I was familiar with SEO, so I started posting about SEO, and that's how I met one of my first mentors in 𝗄𝗶𝘁𝗵𝘁. But SEO got really boring. But Kobe reached out to me, said, hey, man, you're a cool guy. I'm a cool guy. We should have a meeting. Let's just talk. We talked for like 40 minutes, and he invited me to his community, a community of other like-minded individuals who are trying to figure out how to carve their own path in this world. And so weekly, religiously, I would go for an hour, hour and a half, and we would just talk about directions. And he came up with this challenge like, hey, networking is super powerful. We'll talk about my thoughts and feelings on what networking is and how much I hate that fucking word networking. I really hate it. I really hate it for a lot of specific reasons, and it'll make a ton of sense here in a minute. But it was kind of a networking challenge. And it's like, you guys are really good at networking online, but have you thought about meeting people local to you? Go on LinkedIn, find somebody who's local to you who is building something, that you're interested in, and then reach out to them and see if they'll have a sit down meeting with you in person. And so I did. I reached out to Mike Romaine. Mike Romaine is the newsletter creator. I was fascinated by newsletters at the time because you can make a ton of money with a newsletter. And that's all you need to have to make a ton of money is a newsletter. So I reached out to him, and sure as shit, man, he was like, yeah, I'll meet you. I'll have a conversation with you. So I drove over to Disney Springs on a Sunday, and for 6 hours, I walked around and talked to Mike, and I got a master class in all the things that I should be doing. One of the first things he said to me was, hey, man, I checked out your stuff. I love what you're kind of about. I see what you're trying to accomplish. I see that you're getting started. He's like, but you're not the guy that gets his message across behind a keyboard. Have you thought about starting a podcast? I was like, done, dude. I came home, I started ideating, and I was like, well, there's this education issue because of this article I read. I see veterans are happy being entrepreneurs and building businesses. I'm fascinated and good at, the business end of things because when I managed that gun store, I actually took over for the owner. He just stopped showing up and I was doing everything, like running the business, making him a ton of money for $15 an hour. You know what I mean? Like that's a little mismatch there, but I discovered something that I'm actually good at. And while I did enjoy it, I didn't enjoy being a slave essentially because I'm working for $15 an hour while I'm looking at the balance sheet. This dude's making like $950K a year. You know what I mean? Like wild. So I was like, okay, cool. That's it. That's what the podcast is going to be about. The name for the platform and the podcast, it actually came from one of my followers in the comments. I didn't name this thing. I didn't come up with it. They just said, I think you should be the strategic veteran. It's got a great ring to it. I threw up a poll. People agreed and the name stuck. I launched the podcast 2 weeks later on May 1st of 2020. It's 2025, right? So 2023.
Probably.
Man, yeah. I don't even know anymore, dude. And I put out like 160 episodes at this point, something like that, which
I'm
is
just I'm just a few behind.
I guess I'm told that's like moving. That's a lot. I don't know.
I mean, I think I heard 90% of podcasts fail in like 4 episodes. So
really, is it really that few?
I think so. Like they just start posting, they give up, and that's it.
Yeah. So anyway, I started the Strategic Veteran with the idea that the path back to purpose is through entrepreneurship. The way I got guests is I went into 2 Facebook groups. I used 𝗄𝗶𝘁 to create some kind of, attractive, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm looking for. I had like 9 people respond and say, yeah, I'll do it. And in those first 9, I realized the issue is in the way we get out of the military, the TAP program and kind of all this stuff. So I quickly started pivoting and turned the podcast into just telling people's transition stories out. So the first segment of the podcast is, where did you grow up and what inspires you to join the military? For those that aren't military that come on that I think are relevant to the community, it's, where did you grow up and what inspired you to get into the work that you're doing to help, the veteran community or whatever. The second half is, the transition that you went through if you're a veteran. We don't really have a second half for those that are just a resource for the community. And then the kind of the back end of all of that and just a natural transition is what are you doing now and how is that fulfilling to you? And my idea behind all of that was when I was at rock bottom, ready to take my own life because I felt so alone and empty inside. If I could have seen stories to know that I wasn't alone, to know that other veterans were experiencing what I was experiencing, then I probably wouldn't have felt so bad. It would have inspired me to get off my ass and maybe take a little bit of action or just one step forward instead of wallowing in rock bottom. And so that's kind of the origin story of how the brand got started. And what do I do to help people? That's a really good question, man. I don't think I do anything. The podcast it's what you see is what you get. It's a podcast. That's it. I use it as a platform to put people on. If you look at my post from yesterday, it was Lubim Kogan founded Wings for Heroes. It's a paragliding thing for amputees. So I promoted his thing because I think it's just a cool thing that nobody knows about. I tried to, veterans reach out to me and they're like, hey man, I'm struggling to get a job. You got a pretty large network. I could use your help. I'll throw them on, put them on. That's pretty fruitful. Usually by the end of the day, they've got a couple of job offers if they're willing to move, or they've got some kind of, place to start or go. And really what I've become is just kind of an ear for these vets who are, they're overwhelmed by noise and they can't tell the difference between signal and noise. And so I really just try to help them understand that, like, you can tune out all this shit that everybody's telling you, and you can look in the mirror and ask yourself what you want to do with your life and then go that direction with your life. And I promise you, you're going to live a better life, because I did all the things that they told me I should do, and I was miserable. When I bet on myself, reorganized my finances so that I could do this 24/7 without having to have a job or a 9-to-5 or whatever, a career, I became way more happy. There hasn't been a day where in the last 2 years where I get up and I'm like, I don't want to work today. I actually probably work more than I ever would have in a corporate job, because I just love what I do. I enjoy meeting people like you, connecting with people. Turns out I'm a fucking super connector. I'm really good at it, right? Like, there's value.
Hey, trying to steal the name to my podcast? Relax. Keep it. I'll fight you, bro. I'll 1v1 you on Rust.
This is capture or kill.
Let's go. Oh God, that's such an old game, isn't it?
1v1.
I'm not a video gamer, so you'll win.
1v1 Nuketown. Let's go.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, you're too old, man. You're rusty.
No,
the rusty veteran. New podcast.
I was never a gamer. That's it. Let's do it, dude. We're getting there, dude. I'm 40 now, so like I am a crusty veteran.
I'm dying.
But yeah, man, that's kind of the origin story of the brand and how it all came about. And like I said, it's just been this incredible, I don't know, opportunity machine, opportunity to meet people, opportunity to open doors for myself that I never thought in rooms I would be in, stages I would stand on. It's just incredible. It's just been incredible, man.
Yeah, that's so cool, dude. I think it's so true, specifically for men and young men. I think it's probably true for everybody, but men specifically, if we don't have a purpose and a mission, if we don't have something we're aiming toward, like, why do you think guys play so much video games? They want to win, right? They want to do something where they can get that dopamine hit. They can feel fulfilled because they've done something successful. And frick, man, I get it. I do it. I do so many things that give me that little hit of, oh, I won something. Even, what did I do yesterday? No, today I finished Tupperware of soup, and I was really happy that I could, now the Tupperware is out of the fridge. Like I finished it. Like,
you accomplished something.
So stupid, but it felt good. Like, actually, no, it was two Tupperwares of, one was fish, one was lentil soup. It doesn't go together, but I wanted to like feel accomplished that I finished both,
Yeah, so you're like, I'm gonna eat this even though these don't go together, just to get it out of the fridge so I feel
pretty much.
Yeah.
And so, as stupid as that example is, I really believe. There's a book, I've referenced this so many times now on the podcast. There's a book I read years ago called Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. And it's kind of like, who did God create men to be, right? What is the heart of a man? What do we need versus women versus any? And so he essentially says, and I'm paraphrasing, men need like a mission to go on, a dragon to slay, and a beauty to pursue. Like, and if we don't have those things in sight, then so if you don't have a beauty, you go to porn. If you don't have a mission, you go to, video games or whatever. If you don't have a dragon, maybe you sabotage yourself or whatever, right? So
you
it's
go
like
to the bottle.
Right. And so I've seen that in my own life, whether it's depression from a relationship or it's whatever the issue might be, where you're sad, you're depressed, whether it's PTSD from the military, whatever it is, if you're like aiming towards something, you're building a company, you're doing something that requires so much of your energy and focus, you almost don't have time to be depressed. You almost don't have time to think about. And I think of it like this, right? With the healing process, if you're moving down this path going forward, that pain and trauma gets further and further and further away. And then, you're going to have days where you do look backwards because you're feeling emotional, but you're going to be so far ahead that when you look backwards, you're like, you can barely see the trauma. You can barely see the pain because now you're
trivial. Yeah.
Right. Because you're moving away from it rather than, I said this in the last podcast, don't get a motel while you're going through hell. right? So like stop staying in it. Go
Yeah,
through
exactly.
it. That's why they say you got to get through the thing. So stop.
One of my
Yeah.
one of my favorite quotes ever, Jordan Peterson, the only way out is through. The
Yeah, say
only
it like
way
him
out.
though. Use the voice.
I can't do
Clean up your room.
the voice. You could probably do the voice.
I don't know if I have the. No, I don't have it.
Yeah,
I don't.
that one's a tough one, but
No.
really, I mean, it really is a good quote because it's the truth. You don't overcome the trauma until you face the trauma and move through the trauma. Because here's the deal. I had a guest on my podcast. You'll find this really interesting. They have a really unique approach to their coaching offer. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this, I can't remember who you are right off the top of my head because I talk to so many people, I record so many podcasts, but this did stick with me. And their coaching program is like a quantum coaching program. So they look at things from like a quantum level. And she was telling me that we know that, like, think about the distance between cells in our body is the same as the distance between the sun and the moon. Right. So if you think about that on a microscopic level, how many places are there in your body for trauma to hide?
Interesting.
Yeah. Right. Really interesting. So while you push it down, compartmentalize it, and don't deal with it, it just goes to another area of your body and it hides until.
So like thinking about it almost in a physical sense, like trauma is a thing that's inside of you.
Yep. And so it's if you don't deal with it and face it and move through it, it's gonna keep coming back up. And that's why I think it's relevant to say you can't run from your trauma, no matter how far you run, no matter you change continents, change houses, change cities, change states, whatever that looks like to you, trying to get a fresh start. The trauma is going to follow you until you face it and deal with it and move through it. And so, that's just kind of, and then there's another element to those three things, like a dragon to slay, a beauty, and a mission. You also need some kind of faith. You need some kind of belief in some kind of higher power. If you don't have that, you're never going to heal. And I don't give a shit what you think. If you think I'm full of shit, it's the truth. Period. End of story. I learned this lesson the hard way. And until I went to Peru and met God, I was one of those people that didn't have any faith. And my life got exponentially better after that, adventure. And now I have a pretty strong faith. It's growing every day. It's a journey, right? Like it's not something that just wake up tomorrow and
for sure.
Oh God, but really, I do believe that. And all of the people in my life all have some kind of spiritual belief, faith in a higher power, and they're all very, very successful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you're talking to the author of Pursuing Truth and Finding Jesus, my friend.
There we go. Right.
There you go. Actually, I'm curious about this because I don't think we've talked about this yet. But and we don't have to go super deep into it if you don't want. But is based on your current journey, kind of where you at? Would you give yourself a label like you're Christian, you're Buddhist, or whatever, or would you say you're kind of spiritual? You believe that there's a God, and you're figuring out kind of who that God is.
I would say I'm a follower of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I don't.
Amen, brother.
I really, I mean, like that's really, I don't like the construct of religion. I think that's what's convoluted all of the spirituality thing. I think that's what's gotten us away from all of this. I try. I'm not very good at it yet, but I try to read the Bible every single day, even if it's just one page.
Nice.
I got some really good. I've never read it cover to cover. I'll be honest. I grew up being forced to go to German Catholic and the Methodist Church. I was baptized
that's good.
in the church. Yeah. And my big issue with the church growing up was going there on Sundays and being preached at by the same people who were so hypocritical, doing all the things they told me I was fucked up for doing Monday through Saturday, but on Sunday they're supposed to be righteous and holy and the authority. And I just don't think that's right. And that's my problem with religion as a construct. But I would just say I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, man. You can take that for whatever that is. I think we should all put our noses in the Bible. I think that there is more than enough proof the book is true and that everything in that book is true. And you won't convince me otherwise, but I have some life experience that kind of points me in that direction. And as far as do I go to church every Sunday? No, I don't. There's a very specific reason for that. Where I'm located in Florida, it's nothing but mega churches. I don't believe in mega churches. I just think that they're bad juju, man.
Sure.
I think it's really hard to find a place where you belong. Also, there's a lot of judgment that comes my way because I'm 6'3" with long hair, a beard. I look homeless, and I'm tattooed from head to toe. I walk into rooms and immediately I'm judged. And it's one of the worst places is in a church, believe it or not. And I never understood that. So no, I don't go to church every Sunday, but I try to be as good as I can, and I keep an open mind. And that's kind of my story, brother.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're 6'3". That's so cute, because I'm 6'7", and it's not a big deal. But
Are you 6'7" really?
No, I'm like 5'9".
I mean, 6'7", dude. That good for you. I know your pain though, because being tall sucks, dude.
Yeah, compared to you, I'd look like your girlfriend, dude.
Possibly.
Maybe a hairy Greek girlfriend, but whatever.
You said 5'7"?
No, 5'9".
No, you're 2 inches taller than she is. I mean, you got her on that one.
That's funny.
But
yeah, no,
yeah, man,
trust me. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I would call myself a follower of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, same, absolutely same. And sometimes now, I don't shy away for me personally, I don't shy away from saying I'm a Christian and I'm Bible believing Christian. But I know for some people, by saying, even using a label, even saying Christian or Catholic or whatever, that now comes with does that mean you go to mega churches? Are you Protestant? Are you Orthodox? Are you whatever? And it's like, you know what? I'm a Bible believing Christian. I love Jesus. I believe, like you said, I believe in the Bible. I think that there's, let me give you a fun little story in Florida, since you're from there. So I used to go wait, are you originally from Florida?
No, originally from Indiana.
Okay. Anyways, so these things keep popping out. There we go. My ears and AirPods, I tell you, man, don't work.
Foam Masters, that's the tips you need.
I have this is a second pair that I have, my friend gave me. I use this only for podcast purposes, and I haven't put foam in it yet, but my gym ones, I put foam.
Yeah,
amazing.
Foam Masters, they're worth the $30, hands down.
So I'm with my family. Also, sorry for everyone listening. I've been getting over being sick, and this cough will not leave me alone. So hopefully it's not annoying on the recording. But anyways,
it'll be all right. They'll get over it.
Yeah, this is fine.
Man.
So yeah, you know what? If you're listening, you're the problem. Yeah. No. Get better ears, bitch. I'm sorry, guys. Don't unsubscribe. So when I was a kid, my grandparents were snowbirds. So they lived in Sudbury, Ontario, which is a little bit up north. And they would go to Florida in the winters and then go back to Sudbury in the summers. And they come visit us kind of in between, because we're in between Florida. And anyways, Oviedo is where they lived. I forget exactly where.
I know where that's at. It's over by Orlando.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Because we used to go see Orlando Magic games. We used to go to what's the one? Universal Studios and
that's the better one. Yeah.
Yeah. And Islands of Adventure. We did both. Yeah.
Well, now you have to get the 3-park pass because Harry Potter and all that. It's actually a 4-park pass. Now they just opened a brand new park this year.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a Marvel park. I'm really excited to go there.
Well, because so when I was a kid and we went, they started all the Marvel attractions. And the last time I went, they just opened the very first iteration of the Harry Potter stuff. So this was years and years ago. Yeah.
You should come back, dude, because I'm not a Harry Potter fan. But
it's not an expensive ticket, man. If you want to go to freaking Orlando or whatever, Universal with me, I'll come, man.
Yeah, I'll go for sure. I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but I really am impressed with what they did with the whole world over there. I think it's really cool. So I'm really excited to go see the new park that they've built. It just opened in May, and I don't know. I mean,
tell me when, bro. I'm coming.
I'm a big kid. Like, let's go have fun.
Same. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna do this again. I got the Flash tattoo right there.
Sick, dude. That's what I'm talking about. You won't be able to see it because I can't get my foot that high, but I have a Batman tattoo on my foot.
I have a Batman tattoo on my rib.
Hell yeah. See, I knew we were connected somehow.
Anyways, back to my story. So yes, Florida every wait, what was my story? Oh, okay, church. Yes. So no, Florida.
We don't like you guys here, to be honest. Yes. You guys fuck everything up for us.
Whatever. They were lovely old people, and
I'm sure they were.
they contributed
I'm not
absolutely
talking shit
nothing.
about your family,
They're
but we
great.
don't like snowbirds here. Particularly where I'm at. We're so full of snowbirds. We call this place Heaven's Waiting Room. I'm serious, man. You'll go to some of the condos over up by the Cape and Cape Canaveral and Merritt
Yeah, yeah.
Island and Cocoa Beach, and like 8 months out of the year, they're all hurricane shuttered up. They're just boarded up because nobody's down here for the summer.
Right.
And then like right now they're all opening up, and I'm like, it's like 60 degrees here. What are you guys doing? Like, this is cold for us. You
Just
know what
call
I mean?
it purgatory.
Like, yeah, right.
Maybe if they stayed through the hurricane season, that would be purgatory.
I mean, technically, hurricane season's got another week and a half.
Fair enough.
So some of them are getting the tail end of it, I guess. We've been lucky this year, and like not even a threat, which is kind of nice because
Good.
last year we had one move right across the state, and I'll tell you that one was supposed to be a lot bigger than it was. And my first experience with a major hurricane like that coming across the state since I've lived here, you don't realize how helpless you are when you board up those windows and you're sitting in the dark just waiting for the power to go out. And it's just like, oh, this is what part of living in Florida is like. Like, I mean, I'm not really scared because I got insurance, and whenever they decide to pay out, it'll be fine. But also, like, literally everything I own is here. And, this thing's going to move across and just take it out whenever it wants. And there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to wait.
Yeah, that's
Weird
terrifying.
feeling. It's a weird feeling.
I complain about Canada and about, the weather, but sometimes I think hurricanes, snow. Anyways.
It's not the same trade.
So we're in Florida pretty much every year because it's a cheap vacation for us. The flights are cheap. I think a couple times we drove. And so, on Sundays, we're like, well, if we're going to be here for like a month, let's still go to church. And so we would go explore some different churches in the area. And I remember one time we hit up a Pentecostal church. And we didn't know the service time. This is before you could Google everything. And so we showed up what we thought was probably the right time, but it was the end of the first service. And then there's the second service. So we're like, okay, well, let's just grab our seats and we'll listen to the last few minutes. So last few minutes, so we get our seats, and the keyboardist is already starting to play the outro music, and the pastor is like, in the name of the Lord, you just make start speaking in tongues. And it's the first time I've ever heard this, and I'm like, what the shit is this? This is ridiculous. I don't know how to feel. I'm looking at my parents. I'm like, am I schizophrenic, or is he not speaking English? Like, what's happening? And so, but I remembered like the tonality, the way he kind of, the rhythm of the hanja. Now, okay, so then we stay for the second service, gets to the end of the second service. Keyboardist is up to the same syllables, the exact same. And I'm like, so this is like, I'm literally like 10, I don't know. And I had the wherewithal to be like, oh, so this is fake. So he's rehearsed this. And it's just, and that was my first encounter with like it was borderline mega church. It was pretty big. I mean, we were like in the balcony, we were the top, like, and I remember just thinking like this, now there's going to be some Pentecostals listening to this saying, I don't have the Holy Spirit in me because they're mad that I'm shitting on speaking in tongues. But I will tell you this. I believe that there is a gift of tongues. I believe in the gifts of the Spirit. I believe supernatural things happen. I believe, et cetera, et cetera.
Magic is real.
I mean, I've talked to and listened to so many Satanists turned Christian, or, people like, I know the spiritual realm is real, all that jazz. Now, that being said, I have never been in a church where they spoke in tongues out loud, where I felt the Holy Spirit and I didn't feel disturbed. I've only ever felt disturbed in any church that I was in where they started speaking in tongues. It didn't feel like, when you feel that presence of God, you're like, this is overwhelming. There's like, my body's almost heating up. I'm like, I feel out, like it's, when you feel that divine presence. And I also know what evil presence feels like. And you feel like your skin crawls, you're like, you tighten up, you're ready to like fight. Cause you're like, I feel danger. I feel, and that's what I've always felt. And a lot of these churches where they just normalize odd, weird, unbiblical behavior. Because even the Bible talks about, if you're going to speak in tongues out loud, if you want to interpret that sort of tongues as a heavenly language, which I would argue there's the tongues that means other languages, just speaking in Italian, speaking in whatever. The disciples, I think it was right after Pentecost, when they started preaching in their own tongue, but people heard it in their own language. They were speaking in tongues. But then the Bible also describes this like almost heavenly language where the Spirit can pray through you to almost like ask for things you don't know you need type of thing. And sure, I've never experienced that personally. I've talked to some people who said they've experienced it. I believe them. But if you do it in public, the Bible's very clear. Make sure you have an interpreter. Make sure you have someone who is also being spoken to by the Spirit who can then, and I've never
We
seen that.
conveniently leave that part out, right? Like
Yeah,
we just
it'll just be
don't-
during worship and some lady is, and it's like, are you showing off? Like, are you trying to pretend like you're, I don't know, man. So anyways, I say all this to go back to your point of, I have problems with the church as well. And now I do believe that there's so much utility and merit to being in community, whether it's veterans, whether it's believers, there is a lot of merit having community. I just think people need to be careful to not place all their eggs in one basket, I think, in terms of don't allow, just because they call it a church doesn't mean it's not filled with sinners. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I've left
Well, we're
so
all
many
sinners, right? Like
Well,
that's,
exactly.
I mean, that's a given. Like anybody who says that they're not is clearly lying to you.
Right. And so that's the thing is I think sometimes, and I've been victim to this myself, where I thought I was getting close to a church community or group, and some people did some crazy stuff, stabbed me in the back, passed out rumors that weren't true, whatever. And now I have to leave the church because it's like, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel like I can really just be in God's presence while I'm always looking over my shoulder for those weirdos who made it uncomfortable for me. And it's like, so that's why it always reminds me, just don't place your faith in man, place your faith in God, and he'll direct you to the right men, so to speak.
Yeah, I can't agree. I agree with everything you just said, man. I didn't have the Pentecostal experience, but I did have the Southern Baptist experience, and it's
Nice.
very similar. The only difference is the pastor's up there, and he gets going, and he starts taking his clothes off. Before you know it, he's in his fucking underwear and
No,
speaking in tongues.
stop.
I'm serious. I'm dead serious, man. And look, I'm not. This isn't a stereotype. This was my experience. I had just got to my first duty station.
It sounds like a South Park episode.
It really was. It really was. I had just got to Fort Stewart, Georgia, which was the first duty station. So that gives you the location of where we're at. Obviously, Southern Baptist is very prevalent in the state of Georgia. And this gentleman that I was in crossing with had been there before, had been to this church. He's like, you should come to this church. And like me, I'm just like, he clearly outranks me. I think this is an order. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Maybe I'll meet some people, whatever. I'll figure it out. So I go, and it's one of the biggest giant black man I've ever seen as the pastor. He's a very nice man. I shook my hand, introduced himself, welcomed me into the church. Very, 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 very humble man. It was really awesome. But then he gets up there and the service starts. He starts preaching. He's got his cloth and he's sweating. He's in like a 5-piece suit. You know what I mean? And then he gets going and he's stomping his foot. And then he keeps going some more and he's all over the place. And the jacket comes off. The vest comes off. The tie comes off. The shirt comes off. The pants come off. Sweat dripping everywhere. And I'm like, what is it completely turned me off to anything that was going on there. And we get done and the gentleman that had invited me there, he's like, so what'd you think? You going to come back next week? I was like, no, dude, I'm fucking out, like hard out. Like this is not for me. Like, I don't even know what I just experienced, but I think like you, whether I knew it at the time or not, you can feel whether or not this is something that you vibe with. And I do have that experience that you're talking about when you can feel the Holy Spirit moving through you in a church. I went to my favorite church I've ever been to, Kevin Pitts, and he's the lead pastor at the Grace Works in Washington State, in Olympia, Washington. Their church forever and ever was run out of an elementary school gymnasium.
I used to go to one of those.
The congregation would come early and stay late to set up the chairs and the stage. And
we would do that too.
Stage. And I was so impressed because the first time I went was with a woman I was dating. She invited me to go. I walk in, zero judgment. Kevin walks up to me. He's bald, has a beard bigger than mine. He shakes my hand. He's like, I'm Kevin. I'm the lead pastor here. It's very nice to meet you. Very glad to have you here. I want you to know it's come as you are, which is super important to me because I'm not the Sunday's best guy, right? Like it's just clearly I'm in a tank top, a fucking plate carrier and a schmog, right? But I go into the church and he shakes my hand and he's like, I want you to know, man, if my wife would allow me, I would look just like you. I was like, what does that mean? He's like, I'd be tattooed from head to toe, but my wife says no, and we've been married for 30 years. And I'm like, well, I guess you got to keep her happy. And I was so welcome. And they always start with like 4 or 5 songs. Kevin plays the keyboard, so he's very active in the worship. And that's when I could feel it, man. I could feel like how in tune they were. The other thing I really liked about it is they go through the Bible book by book. So they start at the beginning and the very beginning of the Bible, and then they move all the way through it. And however long that takes is however long it takes. The only exception is Christmas. They always do the same thing at Christmas, and then you start it over again. And when I was growing up in the churches that I would go to, I always felt like I was being preached at. This is what you should believe because I said so. When I was going to the Grace Works, it was always, this is the lesson. This is what I think you're supposed to get out of this lesson. Let's have a dialogue about this. The congregation was invited to participate, to have open conversation about how we're interpreting the teachings of, what's being talked about in whatever chapter of the Bible we're in. I was just so impressed with it, man. It was something that I actually looked forward to going and doing every week. And I really feel like if I was to go back to the church, that's what I'd be looking for.
Right.
That's rare. That's so rare to find.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, like, you can have a very spiritual experience that leads you to a belief or a relationship with God, but you shouldn't predicate your entire life's belief system on an experience or a feeling. I think once you find, so think of it like this, right? It's like something happens, you get in a helicopter crash, and now you end up on this path. Well, now that you're on this path, like if you have a map available to you, don't just start walking the path blindly. You might have got there somehow from a helicopter crash, but like if you have the map, like read it so you know which direction to go. So just like if you have an experience that leads you to God, then like actually have an idea why you believe that. Do a little bit of it's 2025. It's not that hard to like look at some of the historical evidence, the geographical evidence, the what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever, just evidence in general of, is Jesus even a real person in history? Did some of these things even happen? What do secular historians think about the New Testament documents and their reliability versus, for example, if you look at what does kind of history say about the Prophet Muhammad versus what do Muslims say about Muhammad? It's very different, and I won't get into that right now, but what does history say about Jesus and what do Christians say about Jesus? Same thing. The only difference is he is God versus it seems like he claimed, divine titles and then he had a following afterwards and people don't know what to do with what happens afterwards. So the only thing that seems to be in contention amongst scholars is he God? Did he rise from the dead? Or was his followers were they just so devout that they crafted this narrative and this story after? So the point being is, I think you need logic behind experience to then continue belief. I don't think blind faith is a good thing in anything, even in a relationship. Like you're married, right? So should you have? Are you not?
I'm not. No, I've been married 3 times, man. I can't get that one right. That's the one thing I can't get right.
Okay, we won't go there. Sorry, for some reason I thought you were married.
It's all good, but no. To your point, it is 2025. Go do the research, and if you want like solid research, just investigate the Shroud of Turin.
Right, that thing's crazy.
Fascinating. And here's
especially
the deal.
With the new evidence that's coming out.
The image that's burned into that cloth, we do not have technology on this earth or in this universe that can replicate that.
Yeah.
What more proof do you need?
Yeah, I heard them say, I'm going to totally mess this up, but like the amount of heat energy that would be needed in it's like 1/1000th of a second so that the cloth doesn't burn through and evaporate, but that it actually can like put an image on. Like they're just like, they're so blown away by this.
Our own sun doesn't have enough power to even.
Yeah. Like
it's like the equivalent of like some giant mega supernova or so. It's fascinating, man. I look, and then I forget his name, but there's this guy that keeps coming up. I think he's been doing this since the 80s, but I forget his name. He's so well spoken, and he goes to college campuses and
is
talks
it Frank
to,
Turek?
No, it's not. It's
Lee Strobel.
That guy.
Case for Christ guy.
I think so. I can't remember. He was just on Tucker Carlson's show not too long ago.
Yeah, I think that was Lee Strobel.
So one of the most articulate humans about the argument for the existence of God and Jesus Christ and why it's historically accurate. I've never seen anybody articulate it so much, but if you want to start your research there, that's a great place to start, because he tells you how why the Quran is wrong and where it contradicts itself. He articulates the historical, how this is actually history, because we can prove it. We can go back. It's widely accepted, through the disciples' writings, and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All of those were written only 60 years after the death of Jesus and death and resurrection of Jesus. And it's fascinating, man. When you start your journey and walking with Christ, it's just so much fun, man. It really it's just fascinating.
And it's exciting to find, the more evidence that you, as you get on that intellectual journey and you realize how much overwhelming evidence, it's for example, I think, again, I could be misquoting this, but the most amount of documents we have for anything in antiquity is the New Testament documents. We have over 5,000 original Greek manuscripts, never mind the other languages. And that's within, I think, a couple hundred years of the event. And a manuscript is a copy of the original, because the original paper, it would have just dissolved, purely based on age, right, at this point. Now, that being said, I think the next closest one we have is the Iliad by Homer, the Greek Odyssey, all that kind of stuff. So I believe that's the next amount that we have. And if we have 5,000 for the New Testament, we have 30 for the Iliad.
I was going to say 200, right?
Yeah.
It's so small.
Yeah, and then anything after that, from Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, we only have a couple of each. So, and even I heard this a while back, it's crazy, for the Buddha, the first writings about the Buddha that we have today, let me get this right. I believe it's the first writings about the Buddha, period, were 500 years after his physical death. The first manuscripts we have of those writings were 500 years after that. So a millennium, is that 1,000 years? Yeah.
Yes.
A millennium after he lived, is when we have the first kind of tangible evidence of anything about him. Whereas with Christ, you said it was 60 years. It was within 60 years. So in the lifetime of all the disciples, right? And anyways, there's just, can you hear me? Did we freeze?
Yeah, froze for a second. We're good.
We're back. Within the lifetime of the disciples.
Right.
So anyways, I actually really recommend. Have you seen the movie?
I have not. Sorry. I have not seen that, but there's more to that too. In those 5, the way that they're written, it's they're exact they don't contradict at all, right? It's so accurate. It's not even funny across all 5,000 of those documents. Right. It's there's nothing more accurate on the planet. I think something like that.
Have you seen any of Wes Huff's stuff lately? Oh man, I'll send you this guy. He's young. He's Canadian, actually. My one of my buddies knows him, and he's I believe his title is a textual critic, or a historical textual critic, or something. His job literally is to be that guy that analyzes the textual variants and all those. So, and then he was on Joe Rogan recently. It was one of those it's a God thing. The fact that this is effectively, and no offense to Wes, you're awesome, but a nobody internet wise all of a sudden gets invited to Joe Rogan because he ended up having, who Billy Carson is?
I do.
Yeah, so him and Billy Carson had a debate, and Billy essentially stormed out and was and that was a whole big internet thing. It became viral. But then because of that, now Wes has been on, I believe, Patrick Bet-David's podcast, Joe Rogan. What's the one with Andrew Santino and those guys?
I don't listen to that one, but I know which one you're talking about.
So he's on all these podcasts now, and a legit dude, a legit scholar that can actually explain these things, very well-spoken guy, very intelligent, is now talking to millions and millions of people, explaining exactly what you and I are rambling about right now, right? But again, he had, people could talk to you and me and be like, well, you guys didn't study that, so they could pretend to write us off because we're not scholars on this topic.
You're absolutely right. I didn't study it. I watched podcasts of these people who did study it, and you can go watch the same ones that I did and make your own mind up.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about nowadays too, right, is someone could hear what you just said and be like, you watch the podcast. I'm like, bitch, it's just a lecture. Like, what's the difference of us listening to like, educated scholars who do the job maybe on YouTube versus if I pay someone $20,000 to get a bullshit degree and listen to them in a lecture hall? It's just welcome to 2025. It's the same thing. We just have access to more now.
Yeah,
Now,
YouTube University.
That being said, be careful who you listen to. I don't, the Billy Carsons of the world are fun and interesting, and it's fun to be conspiratorial. But like, I'm not gonna like base my worldview on people who just say stuff because it's interesting. I do want to listen to scholars and people who have studied this.
Because you and I, Josh, we know how to critically think. We know how to challenge.
What? Critically think? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, some people don't, actually. Some people listening to this probably don't know what it means to think critically.
Unsubscribe. Uh-oh.
Yeah. My bad, dude. Blowing up your audience here. But it's the truth, man. Like, that's getting in some dangerous territory because we as a society have lost the ability to think critically. We are ideologues.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous. It's so bad.
You ever watch these videos of, whatever it is? Maybe it's, who Steven Crowder is?
Louder with Crowder.
Yeah. So whether it's him doing the Change My Mind or I saw a video popped up on my feed earlier. There's a dude, I don't know where he was. It seemed maybe at a college campus or something, holding a sign about like abortion is murder, like one of those types of things. And the girl, these like teenage girls or whatever, college age girls that were coming up to him with so much attitude and vitriol and just anger but like nothing they're saying is logical. And again, you could be pro-life, pro-abortion, whatever. But my point in saying this is, like if you're gonna, if you want to understand the other side, if you want to have, let me say this differently. If you don't want to be an asshole, like you got to try to maybe, okay, why, even if you think this person believes something crazy, well, like take a step back for a second, be like, well, why would they believe that? Is there logical conclusions to why they might have come to that idea? Like, or are they just a crazy person? Are they just insane? Like, so even with people on the other side,
I don't even think they're crazy or insane, Josh. I just think that they're trapped in this. They're trapped in this. And they don't know anything different because their algorithm captures them and that becomes their worldview. And they don't know because parents have handed this to them over and over and over again. It's become a babysitter. So their worldview becomes whatever the algorithm shows them. And then they go out into the world and they experience adversity or different ideas and they shut down because they have no emotional experience for how to deal with when their ideas have been challenged.
I guess what I'm trying to get to is like what bothers me the most is the arrogance in being ignorant. Like, how can you be so like, you think that way? It's like, yeah, like, have you never met anybody who disagrees with you? Like, yes, I think a different way. It blows my mind. And I'm actually glad I get to choose my guests here because I don't know if I would have the patience to be like to do what these guys do on college campuses or like Charlie Kirk used to do. Dude,
I don't know how he had the patience to do that and to do it largely without just flying off the handle, just being patient. And I'm like, man, this is tough. And then
even after he passed too, there's a few clips that got passed out and it's like, there's a few things he said. I'm like, I don't love the way you phrase that. But at the same time, think about the hours and hours and hours and countless hours of content of him out there. And there's only a couple moments that people can point to that are like, it's not, and if you listen to the whole thing, you hear his intention behind it, and you know what he meant.
Context matters,
right? Of course, no, it doesn't, Adam. It's only the exact words in the clip that got pulled out of context. So, but good on you that you can you can have that much of what you've said and thought out loud be out there. And there's only like 2 or 3 moments people can try to manipulate to make you look bad. Like, I mean, frick, man. Even in my 11 episodes that are released so far on my podcast, there's probably like 17 clips, if not more, that people can pull.
No, dude, this is going to be a gold mine for the haters. Look at us right now. And what we've been talking about, they're going to misuse the context the whole way through.
You know what we should have done? You should have wore a Palestinian shamag and I should have worn an Israeli one or something. No.
That would have been rough, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would have tried to upload. I would start processing the video to YouTube and it would just say banned account.
Yeah, immediately demonetized. Fuck you.
Oh, by the way, speaking of which, let me tell you. You made me realize. I want to tell you the story for this this name tag, Wilbur. That's not my name, obviously. So when I was in, it was the second phase of training. So basics already done. I go to Gagetown, New Brunswick to do what do they even call it? It was whatever. Anyways, as the second phase of training before you go into your trade specific training, essentially. So, excuse me. So I get my new gear when I'm on base, because after basic you give back whatever for that region, and then you get your new kit when you get onto the new base. So I got my gas mask, I got my vest, I got my all this stuff. So I get my gas mask carrier and I open it up, take out the gas mask, and inside there's something loose. I'm like, what's that? And it's a name tag. I'm like, oh, nice, I got someone's name tag. So I just slapped it. So on the outside of the gas mask carrier, there's a place for a name tag, because they want you to slap your name tag on all your stuff, pretty much, right?
On everything, yeah.
So I slap Wilbur on my gas mask carrier, and then it's like the third day in, we have our first inspection. So we don't really know our instructors yet. They don't know us, and I'm Canadian, right? So in the Canadian Army, there's a lot of francophone instructors. Francophone is the Quebec ones, right? So there was two types. There was the one who have an eye voice like this, and everything they say, it come off kind of aggressive, like that. So there's the higher pitch Francos, and then we had the one guy, I forget his name, but deep voice like that, and a lot of because it's like the way that I received the way he talked is he was translating in real time from French to English, but it took him a little bit too long. So by the time it came out in English, he's mad. So everything he say, he have like this, a very aggressive kind of man. So he's the one that was inspecting our little tent, right? So we're standing at the edge of our little cots, because it was like one of those like bougie tents, I guess you could say. It was like, metal structure, but it was small. And so I'm standing, and you have to say whatever, second lieutenant, Palassis is 3072, say your number, say your whatever. And then he looked around, whatever. And then, so he's looking at my cot, he's looking at my rifle kind of dismantled. And then he's like, he takes my gas mask, he looks at it. And then he like comes in front of me, and he like puts his eyes right down. He looks at my name tag on my actual vest, and he looks at the thing. He looks at me, he looks at the thing, and he's like, okay, this say Wilbur, this say Palassis. Who the fuck are you? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I think it was a Master Corporal. I'm like, so sorry, Master Corporal. This is and then anyways, long story short, it happened again because I forgot it on it. And it happened again at another inspection. And then I rightfully put Wilbur away. So anyways, but I kept him with me.
You still have it.
Oh, yeah. Whoever this guy is, God bless you, man. That was a great story.
Right. Seriously.
It's a great memory for me. So.
Who the fuck are you? Knew that was coming. Followed by probably some push-ups.
Yeah. You know what they made us do a lot was the frickin' what do you call this? Well, you just squat. Like just a squat
like the
holds.
chair or the wall sit. I don't know, whatever. They used to. Ours was monkey fuckers. They used to like to make us do monkey fuckers.
What does that mean? No.
So I don't have a way to show you because you won't see it on camera. But you squat down like that. You take your arms through the inside of your legs and grab your ankles, and you just kind of squat. Dude, rough. It looks silly as hell, and it's a smoker, dude. It just destroys your knees and your quads and your hams. You just
goodness.
This is awful.
Oh, it's crazy.
Mountain climbers are the worst, though.
I hate those. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
It was funny. So in that
would be so painful.
Mountain climbing, a little bit worse, actually. A little bit worse.
I don't know. I'd rather climb the mountain than do mountain climbers. I swear I would.
I got a fear of heights, so it's hard. It's okay. I've skydived. I love roller coasters, but that's because I'm not in control. When I'm climbing something and one slip and I'm like, that freaks me out too much. Or even being on a balcony, like at someone's apartment building, it's a no for me.
So rooftop penthouses aren't for you, huh?
Well, like yes and no. Yeah, as long as I don't go on the balcony, that's it.
Fair enough.
And as long as I have a parachute with me, just in case.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But what was I going to say? Oh, so it was funny though, because for me, it was in that phase of training where I started to realize, like, I don't think this is the career path. Because I was looking at all my instructors, and I had the first time I had this thought of, these guys are living my future. Like, I'm going to graduate this course, I'm going to go into the next course and the next course, and then I'm like, realistically, they're going to make me be a instructor on another course before I get to my captain or before I get my, and I'm like, so I'm just going to do what they do. And that sucks. I just remember thinking, like, I can Google their pay because it's a government job. I was like not impressed. I know what they do. I know where they live. I know where our bases are in Canada. I'm like, that sucks. That sucks. That sucks. I know what our capabilities are when it comes to firearms, when it comes to, and even I was trying to transition to Air Force before I got out. And I was like, great, I'm going to fly F-22s. It's going to be so awesome. Oh, we don't have F-22s. Oh, that's okay. You know what? Let me actually go be an Apache helicopter driver.
We don't have
gunner.
those either.
We don't have any offensive capabilities with helicopters. We just have a couple side mountain gunners. Okay. Well, let me go fly like a. Anyway, so you get the point. It was like, let me go fly one of those cool things that like the rotors, go down, and then they can fly like
Ospreys.
Osprey. Yeah. Oh, we don't have any. Oh, okay.
It's a good thing you don't have them, because you would have hated them.
Oh,
they're off. They're so bad, and they're like, they're not safe, man. They crash.
Oh no.
A lot. Oh yeah, they crash a lot.
You know what? I would have loved to have flown is those A-10 Warthogs.
Well, of course. Who doesn't want to fly that, man?
Let me see if I can do it.
Yeah, that's almost, yeah, a little bit louder, a lot more explosion, but dude. Also, like, good for you for having that level of self-awareness. I didn't have that. I just kept.
I don't know where it came from.
Like, I'm gonna be like these guys. This is what I want to do. It's not a lot of pay. It's a shitty fucking job, but I'm gonna keep doing it.
Well, you know what it was though too. Like, I think so. I got injured on that course that I was on, and I would have had to just wait to the next one. Which you think, okay, get on the next course in 2 months. Nope, no funding in Canada, pretty much. So I would have had to stay on what's called a PAT platoon for like a full year. So whenever guys that are actually on course go shoot at the range, we come in, clean up the casings. Whenever someone uses a building, we come in and sweep. So I would just be paid to like sweep floors, clean shit, go work out, and just do nothing for a year in Gagetown, New Brunswick. Google it. It's the middle of nowhere. And I remember I was just like, we don't have another course available until next summer. What happens if I freaking pull a hammy or something and I get off that course again? And then the next course after that, phase 3 infantry, I don't know what it's called now, but that's what it was called. That's apparently the highest failure rate course in all of the Canadian Armed Forces. So there's a chance that I might get injured or something and have to recourse for the next year, because they only do like 1 or 2 of those a year pretty much. And then there's also phase 4 infantry after that, which is the same thing but with vehicles. And it's like, so you're telling me to be a freaking infantry officer, I'm going to have to realistically be in for at least 5 years before I can do anything? And then at that point, I can get out and go be a cop like I wanted to in the first place anyways. Because the point for me was military service, get a little bit older, get a little bit wiser, build some experience, and then go either like SWAT or go be a detective or something, right? But I thought the military would be my first. And so I'm like, what's the freaking point? And so if I was like, Marines, trained, deployed within 6 months or whatever, like, frankly, I would have probably served out my full time, and I probably would have been, but
it makes so much more sense to me now too.
Things happen for a reason,
What is a 5-year training pipeline to become an infantryman? Like, our OSIT's 4 months, 16 weeks. I think OBC, which is the officer basic course, or IBOLIC is the infantry officer basic course. Yeah. I think it's the same length, and then you're downrange to your unit. So for me, it was like within 11 months, I was deployed.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like people ask me, like, so what unit were you in, whatever? I'm like, man, I never got that far.
I never left training, guys. Like, I never even finished training.
No, that's why it's like, I'm like, oh, you're a veteran? I'm like, oh, I'm a veteran. Like, it's like,
maybe a little bit.
That's why I'm like, I don't even want to call myself that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, and that was really it for me. Is I just saw the pipeline. I saw what that was going to look like. And I was like, these guys hate their lives. These guys are crazy. Not everybody, but and then I already started to see, because I had buddies that were in a little bit further than me, and I was already seeing suicide. I was already seeing alcoholism. I was already seeing strip clubs on the weekend. I was already seeing, and I'm like, so that's my prospective future. And it's
didn't enjoy the strip clubs on the weekend?
Hey, I've never, to each their own. I try my best to stay away from that kind of stuff. I just don't even want to go down those roads because I know for me, like women are my vice. I don't drugs, alcohol. I don't. So knowing that I don't even want to put myself in those situations, So
Good for you. Strip
But-
clubs I never really understood them.
well, and real talk for a second. Why would you pay money to get blue balled?
Well, and that was my point, dude. It's so funny that you're saying that we really
Rather
are
than go on an actual date, and buy dinner.
Well, that was kind of my whole philosophy. It's like, okay, so I can go spend a bunch of money to get, like you said, blue balled, or I can just go to the bar, I can buy her drinks, and I have a way better shot at taking her home and not being blue balled. Like, the logic here, guys, like, I'm probably going to spend less money for sure.
Right. Yeah. And then potentially find someone you actually could have a relationship with. And
not in a bar. They're not going to happen, dude.
Fair enough.
Trust me on that. This is 3 wives later. Just don't meet women in a bar. It's not a good place to meet women.
Oh, by the way, the reason I asked you earlier about being married, to finish that thought, going back, what I was saying was, if you get in a relationship with somebody, let's say right now, you're not going to, in most cases, I would hope for most people, you're not going to marry them just based on feelings. That was going back to my thought process about, like, you need a logical reason for believing in something. So the feelings, the attraction, that gets you there. But then if you're going to get married, you got to talk about, like, what's our faith basis? What's our political views? You need, like, that logical understanding that, like, this is a good partner, right? And, people change, things happen. Obviously, not everything works out. But my kind of point was, the feeling, the emotion, the experience might get you on a path, but then you need to use some of that critical thinking you talked about, to then figure out if that path is worth going down deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's with business, it's with relationships, it's with God, it's with anything. Just because, something might happen where you and I stumble together and we are like, oh my gosh, let's start a business, Adam. But then we shouldn't start a business based on our feelings. We should start a business that the market wants, that there's demand, that there's...
Maybe solve an actual problem?
Maybe.
Imagine that, right?
Speaking of an actual problem, I'm going to go full military now. I got my last Zin here. So
I'm out. I don't have
bottoms
any.
up. I guess this wasn't really a thing a few years ago. This is like a newer, like the patch. I feel like the pouches are like a newer thing. I feel like people either smoked, dipped, vaped, or did other things, but this is kind of like
I was a 2-pack a day guy, just lighting one cigarette with the other one, as many as I could before I had to go back inside and do dumb shit.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't smoke, so this is just my, like, nicotine for my brain, for like an ADHD brain.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I just get locked in, man.
Yeah,
Like,
people don't understand. They call it the smart drug for a reason. It really has so many cognitive benefits. It's why it's hard for me to quit it.
Yeah. I think, to my knowledge, I'm not an expert on this, these are probably the safest way to consume nicotine. Because smoking anything is just bad for your lungs and you know what I mean? So even people that vape, I'm like, well, you don't like, the reason I like cigars, well, I don't do cigars too often, but even still, you're not inhaling anything. So it's not as bad for your lungs, but not that it's good for you, but
It's definitely not good for you.
pish posh.
None of it's good for us, right? Like, honestly.
And there comes, it's something I've kind of come to accept, because people always give me shit about this and they give me shit about, it's like, you know what? There's so many things I'm allowing to tolerate that get me where I want to be. They get me further ahead. And it's like, if that means maybe it takes off a year of life at the end of my life, like, you know what? I would rather be productive, useful, build the kingdom, do things that are moving towards that goal. And maybe I only live to 65. But if that's the case, and I've done so much more in 65 condensed years than I would have done in 86 years, and the last 15 are kind of shitty anyways, like, I don't know, man. Like, I want to meet, I'd rather just meet God sooner in that case.
I look at it like everything in moderation to include moderation.
Right. Yeah.
Because, dude, we get one shot at this, and, like, why be miserable? So if I have an energy drink every day before I go lift heavy weights, I think I'm going to be okay.
Right.
If I put a nicotine pouch in my bottom lip 3 times a day while I'm trying to lock in and focus, I think I'm going to be okay.
Right. Also, serious question. Bottom lip or top lip? Where are you putting it?
Bottom lip until it gets raw enough that I have to put it in the top lip, because those well, the Zins maybe not. I'm not a Zin guy. I'm a Velo guy because they're bigger pouches.
Velo.
Velo. I really like them.
This,
they're like
what's
wider.
This one's peach Bellini's in.
Okay, all right. I've got a citrus chill somewhere. Velos. They're not in. I think they're still in the car because I'm trying to quit altogether.
Yeah.
So they're like just a gym thing for me.
Sure.
But I just recently, like 2 months ago, quit vaping. So
Nice.
feel so much better about that. And the way I did it was using the Velos or the Zins, whatever. And so it was rough because you're constantly putting them in your lip. And then my bottom lip would get raw. And so I'd have to go to the top lip. But
I mean, this is the real question. What milligrammage do you use?
6.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah.
6.
I think these ones are 3, just if I need kind of and then I have a 6 for like real focus. Dude, I tried an 11. I didn't know, right? I'm like, I've never done anything nicotine, so I'm like, I don't know. And so I put an 11. I think I still have it. It's like a cinnamon Zin or something.
Did it burn your lip? It destroyed you, didn't it?
Not only was it burning more, that wasn't even the problem. The problem was I was like,
wired for sound. Yeah.
I was dizzy. I'm like, what's happening? I'm so high. Yeah. And then there's a dude at one of my gyms. He's like, yeah, I get this stuff from the reserve and they order it in for me. And he's like, smell this. I sniffed it and I was like, what? 40 milligrams.
That's too much, man.
That's insane.
That's almost dangerous. This probably is dangerous.
Dude, I was high smelling it. And
I believe it. Velo, I think, only comes in 6 and 9. I could be wrong. So 6 is good for me. But the issue is why it's so hard for me to quit vaping is those disposables have such a high nicotine content that you get so addicted to it.
Really?
So, oh yeah, it's bad.
Also,
man.
for the recording and for the YouTube algorithm, we are not condoning nicotine use for anybody, including for minors. Please use at your own discretion.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't smoke, kids. It's bad for you. but yeah, dude, they're so high content and you just I would chief on that thing all day, right?
Yeah,
like the thing's not making it like maybe 5 days before I'm buying a new one. So then I switched to the pouches and it's just constant because you got to kind of come down, And so
sure.
I really am I think I've only had one all day. When I went to the gym. So it's just like, it's almost, it's like a gym thing now, right?
Yeah.
Like
I heard
like a
somebody tell me,
almost.
yeah, somebody actually told me, and I haven't really looked into this, so I don't know. Also, side note, miss doing this. I love this. I'm very comfy. But somebody told me the nicotine, I'm going to mess this up. It like limits blood flow or it thins your blood or something, which can actually not be good for working out. So you're almost like it's a trade-off. You get the energy boost and the focus to work out, but you might be restricting blood flow, which may actually hurt your gains and maybe not your gains, but it might hurt the lift itself. So it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't look into it.
Nicotine itself, or I know smoking constricts your blood vessels. So if you smoke before you go, and I'm guilty of that, right? So before and after I go into the gym, I'd rip a cigarette down or whatever. Probably rip 2 or 3 after the workout. So you're constricting blood flow, which we know what you need to make muscles grow. You tear the fibers, and then the blood pushes in. You get the pump, and then it starts to repair, and you add protein to that, and then you get giant, right? Like that's
no, my lighting's not good right now. Oh no, it doesn't look good. I'll cut it out. Or I'll just let me know what I'm gonna add fake arms. Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised, man. Like I'm sure it's not good for you, and it's probably not helpful. But you know what? It's like better than ripping 900 milligrams of caffeine in pre-workout or whatever.
Dude. I will say, I love America. I love Americans. There's some shit you guys have that it's a little bit wild. It is a little bit wild. Like they don't even allow that in Canada. You know what I mean? Like even some of our drinks, I've looked at the labels on some of the same companies, and it's like, in Canada, it'll be like 600% vitamin B12 or whatever. And then the US, it's like 2,000% B12. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, 400 milligrams of caffeine. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Wild, dude. So stupid. So stupid.
Especially when kids are on this stuff. Like, my first sip of coffee, I think, even during the military, not that I was in for too long, but I think I did caffeine pills like a couple times on like an overnight kind of training op. Other than that, I didn't start coffee until after university, after the military, when I started to become an entrepreneur. That's when I needed coffee for the first time. But I was like 22 or whatever, which is still fairly young. But kids are doing this stuff at 17 years old, 15 years old. It's like way too early. Like, just use your natural God-given energy. You're a child. Like,
seriously, what I wouldn't give to have that energy again.
yeah.
I mean, think about it, dude. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Are you a morning person or night owl more so?
Both. It's really weird, man.
Really?
Yeah, man, it's strange. My sleep is getting much better. I've been pretty disciplined about bedtime lately. So I go to bed about 11 and I'll wake up somewhere between 6 and 7 every single morning naturally, no alarm.
Wow. And you feel
That's
good?
I do. Yeah, I do feel good. I think I average and Whoop will tell you that my sleep's all fucked up and it's not great. I don't recover well, all of that. But it's kind of by design. My house faces north-south. My bedroom window faces north. So I naturally get up as the light comes in the window. It's very nice. And I feel refreshed. Even if it was dark in the room, the latest, I couldn't even tell you the last time I got out of bed at 8. Right. Like it's just
Wow.
weird. But I do enjoy kind of staying up late. I'm a creature of the dark, I like to say. So if you come to my house at night and it's dark, as soon as we're done with this, all the lights in the house are going off. And I'll probably sit on the couch and grab the laptop and work in the dark for a couple of hours afterwards. Right. I'm a weirdo, man. So I guess I'm kind of both. I do feel it if I stay up much past midnight. My sleep I'll toss and turn. It'll take me a long time to go to sleep. It's going to be a bad night because I just ripped that whole monster into this podcast. So
sorry.
No, it's all good, man. I got plenty of work I can do to keep me awake and whatnot.
You're going to text me tomorrow and just a middle finger emoji. You're going to text me.
But no, probably what'll happen tomorrow is because I'll sleep like shit tonight. I'll toss and turn. I won't go to bed till late. I'll probably wake up somewhere between 4:30 and 5:30. I'll go to the gym. I'll get the lift out of the way. Probably take a nap on the couch tomorrow afternoon, and then kind of reset my system. I don't know. It's hit or miss. I do like mornings. I feel, for me, and you probably relate to this as an entrepreneur, everybody has this creative space. I want to say it's somewhere between 2 and 4 hours a day where you can actually just get laser focused, be super creative, get everything done. So for me, that's definitely in the morning. So my mornings will start, I'll get up, I'm out the door for a 4-mile walk. And then that's how I earn my coffee for the morning.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I come home and I'm a coffee snob, so $21 a pound, single origin, light roast coffee, pour over. Yeah, that's me. But 1 cup a day, earn my coffee, sit down at the computer, answer emails, and then whatever the project is that has the most attention with all the stupid shit I'm involved in is where I kind of focus till about 10 o'clock. And that's when all my meetings and my calendar kind of opens to take meetings and I start talking to people for the day. That's pretty much a typical day. My calendar's open from 10 to 4. Usually every day I'll make it to 4 o'clock, constantly talking to people. And I pretty much knock off for the day after that. I don't really do anything super creative. I will probably work on, building a GPT or training some kind of model for myself. I don't really build anything after that. A lot of reading or studying kind of the AI craft, because that's the space that I've chosen to be in. YouTube University is a big thing for me. That's primarily the only TV I watch. And I'm a weirdo. I like to watch podcasts, not just listen to them.
All the time. Even if I'm at the gym and I'm like I will carry my phone around with YouTube open, and if I'm, let's say I'm doing preacher curls, I'll be looking at the podcast because I have a magnet on the back of this thing's a magnet.
Nice.
So I can literally slap it on any machine and then I'm watching the podcast. I'm very visual.
Yeah, same for me, man. I don't know what it is. I also, when I watch the podcast, I have subtitles on because I'm an old man now and I don't hear so well after, plenty of explosions. But I find that I retain more by... Yeah, of course. But I do. I find I retain more. Stop being a
victim. No, I'm kidding.
I kind of understand captions now. I retain more because I'm reading it and I'm also listening to it and I'm also paying attention to their body language. It's wild, but that's typical day for me, man. And I mean, I enjoy it, dude. I enjoy it a lot. And I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, get a wild hair every now and again. I might get creative at nighttime, might do some, if cannabis is my friend, and sometimes some great ideas and some
We do not
productivity.
condone the use of any illicit substances for any minors or anybody that is not.
Yeah. Well, I condone the use of plant medicine a lot. So
There you go. I like that term, plant medicine. Yeah.
Cannabis is a plant and it's medicine, man.
It is.
So
That's another one of those things that's, demonized by the church, demonized by society. And it's like, again, moderation, right? Like if you become a pothead, that's very different than using medicinal herbs to be able to, like, so my grandma, when she was the snowbird grandma, when she was on her deathbed, we had, because, cannabis became legal here in Canada. So you could get, you didn't have to get it prescribed. You can get kind of whatever you want anywhere. But I think we did have like the prescribed CBD oil that had some THC in it as well. And like with the pain that she had at the end, it was, long story short, it was like a botched surgery that kind of led to her dying a lot faster than she probably should have. They were trying to take cancer out, and I think they pretty much spread it and killed her. Very, very, very fast it happened. But we were giving her CBD oil to just kind of before she slept, and it really, really helped her at the end. Just stay calm, kind of just. And it's funny. In the last, I think it was the 2 or 3 days before she passed, we were, we're all in the hotel, not the hotel, the hospital room. They gave us a nice big one so we could all chill out there. We even put like an inflatable mattress on the ground, and it was my turn to take a nap. You know what I mean? So, my dad was, I think out of the bottle, he was putting some in a syringe, some of the oil to be able to give to my grandma in her mouth. And he was like, "Do you want to try some?" I was like, "Sure, whatever."
Yeah.
So I put a little bit in, and then I went for my nap. So I wake up from the nap, I don't know, an hour later, and I was like, "Oh, what the hell? Like, what kind of nap was that?" And I remember just like, oh man, I went to the little bathroom in the hospital room. I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh, my eyes were so pitch red. And I was like, oh my God, I'm high as fuck. And I was like, I'm going to go back to sleep. And then I woke up and I was fine after. But I was like, oh my God, no wonder I was sleeping so deep.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. Intention is the word there. How are you intending to use this? For me, it's very routine. It's 8 o'clock every night. It's open the mind, get creative a little bit. I come up with a lot of ideas when I get stoned, but I also I really use it to work on all the internal stuff, to go inside, face the demons, the trauma we talked about, right?
Sure.
Like move through whatever it is, that's coming up for me. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to everybody either. There are nights where I'm like, I'm just going to get rip roaring stoned and I'm going to ride the wave. I'm going to enjoy it, right? Because that is the intention. And so what bad is going to come from that? Now, I don't understand, and I'm not knocking anybody, because I have some very, very close friends who they're high all the time, but you would never know it. If they didn't smoke, you would be like, who in the fuck is this person? Like, I don't recognize this person. So I think that it has, it's just like weightlifting or nutrition or fitness in general. Each individual is so very, very different in how they respond to internal and external stimuli. And so I think that's an important, distinction to make. Like, what works for me is not going to work for you. You probably can't use cannabis the same way I do. And I can't use cannabis the same way some of my best friends do, because
or even this nicotine, like the way my brain, like some of my friends that are in medicine, they think I probably have ADHD. I've never been tested, but probably based on a lot of my tendencies. And they literally said someone that has that brain chemistry, nicotine acts differently than someone who doesn't. And so it's,
I use nicotine the same way you do. I think it really helps me lock in and focus. And
like I'm locked into your face right now, man. I'm
but I do. I really I've never been diagnosed ADD or ADHD, but I can see when I don't use nicotine versus when I do use nicotine. It's even better when I start using like nootropics in general. Nootropics are so cool. If you haven't played with some nootropics,
I have
Alpha Brain's cool.
Yeah.
We're not going to go to psilocybin, but microdosing mushrooms is also man, that's a game changer.
Yeah,
That's
let's
big.
get into this for a second. I know we're at an hour and a half now, and I don't like to go too far past that just for my own editing sake. I'd rather just do another podcast, which I'm sure we'll do. But for the
100%.
last few minutes, this is a good transition because I wanted to get into this because you do the retreats and stuff like that. So yeah, I do find this fascinating, and as a guy that's grown up in the church, it's always been like, that's evil, that's Satan, stay away. And, because again, there's definitely pathways into some dark stuff if you get too deep into, let's just say, the drug world in general. But being that you have faith, you believe in God, from what I know about you, you're like an upright, good dude. Like, you're not abusing stuff for the sake of abusing. Like, you're using these things intentionally and to heal. And I do find it fascinating. I've never done it myself, but let's get into that for a second. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, man. Shout out Heroic Hearts Project, La Medicina in 𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗵, Peru, and ayahuasca saved my life, man. Saved my life. Don't really know how to explain, and nor do I want to explain what an actual journey with the medicine looks like. But the retreat itself it's so incredibly transformational if you do it the right way, meaning there needs to be pre-integration and post-integration training that you go through to really integrate your experience with ayahuasca or any plant medicine in general into your life. Because for me, what I will tell you is, first ceremony, the first night I ever did it, that's the night that I saw the bowels of hell, and I also met God and Jesus Christ, and you'll never change my mind. I saw a lot of magical shit that night. To protect everybody's own journey who's interested in plant medicine, that's as far as I'm going to go with that. But what did the experience do for me? It helped me move through a lot of childhood trauma I didn't know I was suffering from. I thought I was going to go deal with military trauma and all the shit that I did. Turns out I was pretty okay with all of the things that I did because, just happens to be that I was okay with it.
Right.
It taught me how to love and respect myself, but it freed me, man. And what I mean by it freed me is it taught me to trust myself again and my own intuition, that feeling in my gut that's telling me I'm on the wrong path or I'm not doing something that I should be doing. And I overall kind of showed me the path that is my journey to the top of the mountain. It's up to me to follow that path. And I have a roadmap now. And I don't know, man. I lost 100 pounds after that. Everything that you are having me on this podcast that we've talked about today has been a result of that experience.
Wow.
Partnership with 𝗖𝗿cie, getting to lead veterans and first responders and their family members to retreats, to have such powerful transformational experiences, to get to lead their integration training, to be a big part of that, to get into the community, to learn about, these plants and how, it reset my gut health. We know that it moves through your organs and it actually cleans your organs out. We know that it rebuilds neural pathways in your brain. We know all of these things to be true. It's undeniable. There's plenty of documented evidence that's going on. You're seeing in the MDMA trials, 78% of all veterans who go through it are eliminating the side effects of PTSD. Ibogaine is a big one. It's been around. That's the toad venom. It's also synthetic now, because we probably don't need to be killing off a bunch of toads to steal their venom, But Ibogaine is very, very dangerous. It needs to be done in the proper setting. However, it's been used for many, many years in severe addiction, heroin addiction, fentanyl addiction, that kind of stuff, alcohol addiction. We're also seeing that it's helping with TBIs and PTSD, and you couple that with 5-MeO-DMT to get to kind of go to heaven, to another plane, meet God kind of thing. And it's also rebuilding those neural pathways, allowing you to relearn some things a better way and reorganize your internal emotions, your emotional intelligence. You really learn how all of this stuff works. You become more connected. For me, what does that look like? I was a terrible human being before I went to 𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗵, Peru the first time. Awful human being. Just treated people in my life like shit, treated women in my life throughout my life, to include, I'm 50% responsible for my 3 marriages not working out. I can acknowledge that. There's 2 sides to every story. They had a fault in it too. Could I have been a better man to each one of those women and the women in my life? Of course I could have. It's really put me on this path where I genuinely, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, my mission in life is to every person I come across be a positive step in the journey that they call life, to just have a positive impact on the next step of their journey in life. And if that's a big one or a small one, I just want to be a better human. So my mission is to just be the best human that I can be to other humans. That's all it has compelled me to do. And I don't think that's an accident, man. I think God knew what he was doing when he sent me down there. I think he knew what he was doing when he put me in the position to be able to have this powerful transformation, to build this platform, to be here talking to you today, man. To let people know that there's somebody out there that particularly for the veteran community, that cares, that wants to be the guy he didn't have, so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made and waste 8.5 years of your life between getting out and actually finding out what you're supposed to do, because all those mistakes are completely unnecessary. We don't have to make them. And I truly do just want to be just a better human, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I love, dude. The reason, I agreed to go on your podcast. I wanted you to come on mine. The reason we're friends, not just because we met from like a business meeting, and then we're like,
we really did.
We're like broskies, right? But the reason, honestly, I'd love to make a trip out to Florida and like hang out with you and just chill. It doesn't happen with just anybody. I'm sure you're the same, right? You protect your energy, you protect your time. Yeah. Not everyone's worth your time, but one of the reasons I like you so much, man, honestly, is you really strike me as a guy who is, so genuinely looking to be better and to help others be their best. And as you're on that journey of healing, growth, discovery, climbing to that mountain, like you said, I really feel like you want to take people with you. And man, that's been one of my missions for years now. When I started this entrepreneurial journey, I was like, what's the point of going to the mountain alone? I don't want to be up there looking down on people I love and care about. I want to, so like, that's why I did MLM for years. Cause I was like, I thought it was a good opportunity for me to like, because you have to grow with people, you have to build a team, and you have to recruit people, and it's like, so that was a good growth phase for me. Got a lot of rejection, got taught how to talk to people and how to
learn a lot. I was in an MLM too. I've done it.
Yeah,
I've been there. Yeah. I didn't have any success with it because I was like, no, I did 𝗖cie.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Whenever I met people in 𝗖cie, I was like, you should quit and do Amway with me. But
well, they probably should, because the product was shit. It was absolutely terrible. The worst protein I've ever had in my entire life.
No. Actually, I will say right now, Amway's brand XS, like XS, they have a really good, like legit, I'm not sponsoring this, but they have a 5-ingredient grass-fed whey protein. It's a bit pricey, but like legit some of the best protein I've ever had in my life, ingredient-wise and taste.
So it tastes pretty good?
Yeah,
because I know when you start getting into that grass-fed whey proteins, those can taste pretty.
No, I know. So they have a plant-based one, like it's all pea protein, whatever. Not for me. And you know what I didn't know? Then we'll last topic, I guess, talk about protein. Apparently a good plant-based protein only gets absorbed about like 20 to 30%. So if it says it's 100 grams, for example, then you're only absorbing about 20 to 30 grams. Their plant protein, I think they claim, don't quote me, I think they claimed like 40 to 50% absorption. So it's a better plant protein. A good whey protein is automatically 40 to 60% absorption. So automatically animal-based protein gets absorbed into your cells better. But then apparently they were claiming again, I might be off on the numbers, their grass-fed whey protein was like 70+% absorption rate. So if it's a 30-gram scoop, you're actually absorbing 20 to 25% 20 to 25 grams of the 30 grams. So I didn't know that. Another reason why making sure your stuff is like NSF certified, like high quality, like same with supplements. Well, look, I have 6,500 capsules of magnesium. That's not a good sign for $5 at your local CVS. Like I'm concerned about the fact that you're probably just consuming chalk. Like I was
gonna say it's a placebo, it's filler, right?
Yeah. Supplements are, you got to be very careful. I believe in that fully. That's one thing because they have their company Nutrilite. I believe Nutrilite was like the first company to ever make a multivitamin. The guy who did it like invented multivitamins, and now Amway owns that. So I had conviction around that. It doesn't matter whether Amway's is the best or not, whatever. But it taught me a lot about what I put in my body and skin and everything else. So
yep, it's important.
Yeah, man.
And that's a good little education for people who think that you're getting all the protein that you need out of your protein shakes. You are definitely not. And when you're trying to get like, I don't know, like me, 200 grams of protein a day, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's so rough.
I'm trying, maybe I aim for like 175, 180, but like, not that I hit
rough.
it, but
No, never. I never hit it.
That's why I like some of these. I don't know if you guys have, do you have Fairlife in the States?
Yes.
Yeah, so I like the Fairlife milk and the Fairlife protein shakes because I don't know if you know this. Again, I'm going to botch the science here. I'm not a technical guy like this. But what they do to make the reason it doesn't taste chalky and shitty is when they take the milk, they extract all the components, the lactose, the whey, so they extract it all into its individual components, and then they reformulate and put it back together with more of the whey, and they remove the lactose. So they're not adding powdered whey protein into the shakes. They're just reformulating the milk itself. That's why their protein shakes taste so freaking good, because it's just reformulated milk, essentially.
I did not know that. So you're probably probably absorbing quite a bit of that.
Yes.
I would
imagine. Yeah.
The ones I always go for are the 42 gram ones. I always go for the 42 gram ones. I think they taste the best.
Sure. And I think, don't quote me on this, but you're probably absorbing, I would say, at least 30 grams of that, if not maybe a little bit more.
Too easy. Perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Like 2 of those a day. I'll take a quick, easy 60 grams. I eat like half a tub of yogurt a day. So, and I know you absorb most of the protein out of yogurt.
Interesting. Is it because of like the probiotics and everything else? Or
yeah, it's all the bacteria that's in there. It helps. It's also, for me, it's a big like gut maintenance thing.
Yeah. Are you doing like kimchi and fermented stuff and all that kind of jazz? No,
I'm a meat and potatoes Indiana farm boy, man. I don't eat.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you get me to eat 2 salads a week. That's pretty much the extent of my fruit and vegetables. If it doesn't come in a,
you let your food eat that food. You don't eat.
Of course. Yeah. I believe in evolution, man. Like we evolved because we started eating animal protein. So don't tell me that animal protein's bad for you. Ruminant meat is the best thing in the world.
Yeah. Thank you for pissing off the last group of people at the end of this podcast. That's I think we hit it all, man. We hit the religious. Oh, we didn't talk politics. Next time. We'll have to piss more people off.
That'll be a good one.
Well, hey, dude, man, we could talk for hours. Obviously, we'll probably have to just record another one at some point. Loved having you on. Don't log off. Don't click away. Real quick, tell people what's the easiest way to find you, connect with you, communicate with you.
LinkedIn. LinkedIn's the easiest place. Find me, Adam Peters, the Strategic Veteran. I have a website, thestrategicveteran.com. If you go to it, it's like way out of date because I'm a one-man show right now, so don't judge me too hard. But everything you want to know about me is probably on that website. Just don't take to heart what the copy says, because that's changed a ton since. Like I said, I'm not a website guy, but LinkedIn is probably the best place. If you want to know what I'm up to, what I'm doing, what initiatives I'm pushing, what content I'm putting out that's accurate, I post every single day. I have a really large following for LinkedIn, and if you want to talk to me, if you want to book time with me, I'm dead serious when I say this. DM me on LinkedIn. I answer every single DM. I give everybody my calendar link. I swear on everything that I am the most approachable person on the planet, and I do want to talk to you. It just may take me a minute to get back to you because I know a lot of people. But I do. People are always shocked. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you replied to me." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, I want to talk to you. Of course I replied to you." So if you do want to talk to me, reach out. I promise I will answer you. I'll do anything I can to help you. I'm 100% genuine and authentic in what I say. And I mean, I just want to be a better human to other humans.
I love it, dude. And before I let you go, what's your favorite cereal?
Oh, this is an easy one, man. It's between 2. If I'm feeling really unhealthy, it's Cinnamon Life.
Cinnamon Life? I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, man. Well, it's probably a States thing because
I was going to say I'll have to Google it.
Ingredients. So Cinnamon Life, if I'm in the unhealthy mood, and then I really like Smart Start. It's a Kellogg's product.
Gay.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I know, dude, and it's weird. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. You can Google it too, but that comes from my time in the Army because we'd get the little Smart Start. They would come, and it would be the last
box?
in the box. Yeah, it wasn't in a box. It was in the plastic round containers, the little bit bigger ones than the box. We had graduated from the boxes to the plastic ones, but nobody would eat it. They all hated it. It would be the last one in the box, the big box of like the Fruit Loops and the Frosted Flakes and whatever other Pops, I think was another one in there. Dude, I was like heaven because I really liked it. So I always had access to cereal while we were deployed or whatever.
Nice. Well, My friend, I'll give you a proper salute.
Yeah.
Wait, were you non-commissioned or were you officer?
No, I was non-commissioned.
Bitch, salute me. No,
What?
I'm kidding.
Not going to happen.
We'll talk about this next time, about how I think it's absolutely absurd that a 21-year-old, 2LT was being saluted by like warrants that have been to war, and like I'm like, this makes no sense. We'll talk about it next time.
So,
Anyways,
yeah,
follow
backward.
Adam. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you jumping on here with me like always. Give you a fist bump.
Boom.
And
Boom. Up there.
I'll talk to you soon, my friend. Ciao.